Hey everyone, it's Sean from Empire Drone. We're doing something a little different today. We're actually going to interview one of the manufacturers we work very closely with. That's Will Africano from GNARBOX. They make a ruggedized, secure backup solution for drone data in the field. And so I'm going to turn it over to Will Africano real quick so he can give himself a little introduction to himself and GNARBOX.
Hey guys, Will here from GNARBOX. I'm one of the founders, also product manager and CMO at this company. We've been working with Empire Drones actually over the last number of months, getting feedback on our upcoming drone edition of our product, and we're really excited to be here.
Yeah, we're definitely excited to have you here, Will.
Yeah.
Let's get right into the questions. You know, when it comes to any product, we're always interested in the history of the item. You know, the history of the founders, the history of the company itself, and you know, kind of the germ of the idea of where GNARBOX came from. So, can you give us a little history on that?
Yeah. So me and my co-founder Tim, we've been at it for 8 years on this versions of this product until we evolved out the first GNARBOX 1.0 back in 2015 on Kickstarter. So kind of started from an early startup, classic garage startup phase, back way when. It feels so long ago now. But we've always been pointed at the same problem, which is trying to miniaturize the computer systems used for digital backhaul in the field. It started largely with a GoPro backup solution, trying to find a way to have a device that matched the footprint and parameters of a GoPro, which is a small, rugged, water resistant camera. It didn't make sense to us. You know, the only way to back it up and to manage that footage was to have a large, non-waterproof, expensive laptop with you in the field, in a car, on a trip, whatever it was. And that was kind of the first iteration of the product, was how do I back up this video content and then actually wirelessly use a mobile application to be the intelligent interface to it. So we kind of started with that problem set. And when we put that out there, we found a large group of photographers and pro video teams that wanted something way more scaled up into their workflow solutions at a professional level. And so that spawned GNARBOX 2.0, which is the product that our flagship product that we have out today, along with a number of accessories like card readers and batteries and battery chargers that go along with that product. Through that, we built a much more, higher tiered, more professional, more rugged, better performance product of the first one. And this really was the product I think we originally envisioned, was GNARBOX 2.0. And we've built this company up out of Los Angeles, California. Now we're fully remote, like many companies, and fully dispersed and decentralized, which is cool and exciting, and keeps us nimble and has enabled us to kind of move and evolve the company more rapidly. And over, I'd say, once we started getting into these markets, we were quickly thrown into the drone industry because we had customers in that space, whether it be public safety or surveying. And we've worked with a lot of companies one-on-one, kind of in the background, to try and evolve the product to make sure it could fit those workflows as well. But now and today we're excited that we're actually launching our first purpose-built version of the GNARBOX into the drone market with the drone edition. And that particular product has new workflow solutions built into it that enable auto organization of foldering by flight, by location, all from the press of a button on the device, which I have right here, so you can kind of see small. Always have one on the desk, about the size of my phone, but a little thicker. It's water resistant, super rugged, has the ports you need, and SD card, USB-C, and everything you need to be able to back up in the field to get that data backup and as close to the point of capture as possible. So as kind of 101 in digital asset management is, and what we learn along the way from many of the professional teams in media and drone and SCADA even, is we need to back up that content as fast as possible. Is the same principle we had 8 years ago we need to get this GoPro content backed up as soon as possible, so we don't lose it, so we can clear cards and move on to the next thing. It stays true no matter the industry we've been in, no matter who we've been working with, who our customers are. Just some tweaks along the way to make it catered and to evolve the product and workflow for those professional needs.
That's awesome. It's we have a bunch of them here, and it's a heck of a product. And touched on this I think a little bit briefly. The typical workflow, it seems like, for a lot of drone operators and professionals in the field is, you go out and do your mapping mission. You might have thousands of photos. You go and do your crime scene investigation. Again, thousands of photos and videos and whatnot. They're all stuck on these little tiny micro SD cards, and that can just be lost immediately. So that's a challenge that I've always faced. So that's what's made me excited about GNARBOX. I don't necessarily need to keep track of all these micro SD cards. So that kind of gets me to my next question is, why would a drone operator, consider integrating GNARBOX into their workflow? Is it to, minimize that risk of losing data, or is it, will it augment their workflow in different ways?
Yeah, it's a great question. And you really already touched on it, which is just that added data security in the field on every single flight. I mean, there is nothing more crippling than data loss. And, what we found is that was a problem and pain point that was very heavily felt in, say, wedding photographers, media and entertainment. When shoots are hundreds of thousands of dollars, you have full-time professionals on set just to manage card wrangling and data backup on the point of data acquisition, so on site, on location. It's the same principle for drone pilots. You're on location, you're capturing data, it's worth lots of money, your time's worth lots of money, and any program should be building in security protocols and standardizing the asset management process to prevent from that data loss. So first and foremost, that is the number one reason. If you're putting micro SD cards, and these are all stories and anecdotes I've heard from people in the field, if you're putting micro SD cards in plastic bags or envelopes for your data management solution, or even a card wallet, or just I'm keeping it in the drone, therefore, until I get back to the place, while that could be secure, you're actually limiting yourself, because now you're I have to have one card and everything's on one place. And, the general rule that has evolved in some of our previous industries is just 3, 2, 1. You need to make 3 copies of it, 3 different locations on 2 different storage types. So if you have something on the card, keep it on the card. That's okay. That's that you don't have to clear these cards constantly. The idea is keep it on your card, but also have a second copy and have a third copy. So can you back up to, an additional SSD that you have in the field? That's something you can do with the single press of a button on a GNARBOX, by the way. So you just plug your extra drive in, plug your card in, hit a button, and it's going to back up to multiple destinations. So now you have your 3 copies with you, and you can kind of split and know that your source copy is safe. That peace of mind is such a valuable thing. And to prevent people to have to do reshoot an entire flight because a micro SD card fell through, a crack in the truck, or you lost it, or it got corrupted, which once you pull it out of that drone, there's a good chance it could get water damage or static damage or anything that could possibly just remove and corrupt all the data on there. And it's not a matter of, if you've felt any of those problems where you've lost and had to reshoot, then this is going to be a really good product for you, because it's going to kind of provide that security of quell that fear. But if you've never experienced data loss, what we find is it's not a matter of, if, it's a matter of when. Eventually you're going to have this problem. Eventually a card's going to get lost or corrupted, or damaged, and you're going to have to go and reshoot these things. So, having that security blanket in there is definitely helpful. Some of the other, value adds and reasons someone may buy this is, and where we kind of went above and beyond, I would say, with our product development, where we've always tried to focus not just delivering a good base product, a good generic product that backs up cards, is to kind of deliver a whole product solution. And for us in this market, it's about getting faster delivery times. So some of the intelligence we built into the system mind you, it has a full CPU, GPU, RAM. It's not just a storage device with a, microcontroller that sends a card over. Like, this is a full computer that's built into a small rugged box. Is that faster delivery time. So it has a Wi-Fi chip in it. You could plug a phone with 5G in, or have a mobile hotspot and actually connect this thing in like your computer into the internet and start doing file delivery to the cloud. We've integrated with and worked with Pix4D to do a Pix4D cloud integration, if that's a platform for you, Dropbox, and we're looking into more cloud solutions where you can actually take the files and queue them up for file upload, and it'll keep intelligently trying and retrying. If you have limited bandwidth, it's going to chunk the files and restart the copies and uploads. So it's a pretty sophisticated cloud upload system for faster delivery times, because the sooner you get files into the cloud, the sooner they're going to disperse to your team, whether it's analysts or project managers. And the sooner you can check that box or get the cloud processing starting, say if you're doing any surveying or orthomosaic mapping, like, you can get a jump on those and they can start processing sooner, which means that you're going to deliver sooner, which means you're going to get paid sooner, which means you can get to the next job sooner. And if we can shorten turnaround times, then we're going to deliver, not just protect from lost, operational costs. So we're giving you security, but now we're giving you, how do we actually get a leg up, maybe on the competition, or just on our own operations, being able to scale it up and get more jobs and start delivering value back into the organization.
That's great. And you talk about loss of monetary costs. Losing money on a job if you lose your data. But I also think about we work. This is why I'm really excited about this product, because we work with a lot of police departments, sheriff departments, state police, some federal level agencies, fire investigators, all these groups, and they're going into the field using drones as a tool to do investigations. And they capture the footage, and there's that stopgap between the drone footage and then getting it into their server or their secure computer and stuff like that. So there's also investigations rely on this data. So for them to have a as you said, a ruggedized computer in the field where they can just take that micro SD card, like, okay, we just photographed the scene, we just finished recording that car chase or something like that, let's get that into evidence. And then they could take their micro SD card from the drone, move it over, stick it in the GNARBOX, boom, it's backed up and protected. I think that's great. I mean, I could see many police departments and other agencies requiring this in their drone program, like when it's got to be spec'd into their drone program to cover that potential loss of evidence. So that leads to another question. It's how secure is GNARBOX when you have these agencies looking to use something like this, using the GNARBOX? How secure is it for them to use?
Yeah, it's a good question, in an area we've been focused on over the last year and are having a heightened focus on over the coming years. We put in some updates recently, so the product can over-the-air update like a camera or a computer operating system. We send these over-the-air updates about every 3 to 4 months, where we patch or we add new features. We just last week patched in another security feature, for example, the ability to just power off your Wi-Fi, so that you couldn't even have someone hack into your box if it were an available Wi-Fi network, and small features like that. The fact that it's small, pocket sized, it's rugged, provides some security, at least heightened security from data loss. But we're looking into certain levels of encryption add-ons that we have on our roadmap, as well as some additional locking features. It is password protected, which is a good thing. So the police forces we've deployed with in the past, generate, their own SSIDs and passwords for these, deploy them one-to-one. So like one unit to one pilot. They're assigned that as part of their kit. It's out there with them every time they're in the field. They provide a backup, and it provides a very clear chain of custody as well. So especially if you have, maybe multiple cards or would it be? Maybe you want to split folders by flights or evidence or crime scene. Those are all things that the box can do for you, and not only make it a clear chain of custody, but also get a jump on that organization so that the evidence is very clearly logged and recorded into, even the copies are recorded into logs on the box that are visible and can be pulled as text files, so you can see everything that was copied on or off, and when settings are changed. So we've looked into some other features, and definitely excited to get in with more departments and to get into new groups that have feedback for us on how to make it more secure, but to also improve the chain of custody. We've talked to some other manufacturers out there as well, software manufacturers and providers in that space, and are excited to kind of bring some more features to specifically public safety and into crime scene investigation workflows. And that's a space for us to really grow into, and we're excited to work with you guys in particular. We have a lot of those customers to kind of grow and develop the product in that direction.
Well, absolutely. And, anything's more secure than these micro SD cards just floating around or leaving it in the drone. This can get stolen pretty quickly. And
yeah, I mean, that's actually
good.
That's a really good point, is I haven't even covered. And I've heard this story from a number of customers in the last few years, which is I've had all of my stuff stolen. Like all of my camera gear, which is usually in a more obvious place. It's obviously the valuable item to steal, but then they have their GNARBOX in another location. So they kind of split that up, right? And they've had everything stolen. They said, but thank God my GNARBOX didn't get stolen. A popular YouTuber, Philip Bloom, had this happen to him, not too long ago. I think it was like 6 months ago. He literally had $20,000 of camera equipment stolen, and it was on a shoot that day. And all of the content was backed up on the GNARBOX, and it was the only thing that wasn't stolen. So he still at least had all of the content. And in this case, for this scenario, we're talking evidence, and having evidence stolen is a really, really bad thing. He could have gone back and reshot that, but yeah, that's private information and legal liability that we need to patch in our workflows for. So yeah, that drone is a target. Like let's be real. Like drones are a target. People assume there's valuable information on there, and they assume that they can get something for that drone, and they have no idea what that little black box is that they probably didn't see sitting under the seat or in the glove box or wherever you're going to secure it.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, security is key, especially when money and potential cases are on the line there. One last question. Just in terms of use, how easy is it to use? Battery life. Is there any like upkeep you need to do, or is it? It seems like from our use, I think it's super simple to use.
Yeah, I mean, out of the box, we're talking, you can plug a card in and copy it with a button. So like the base use case is easy to deploy. We do advise, and I know you work with any customer that takes it on, to make sure that they get the proper setup to actually secure it, and just so they have the knowledge on how to secure it. So how to change your SSID, how to set up your own passwords. Those are important setup steps. Once you're set up, it's pretty easy to deploy, and maintenance and upkeep is, keeping it charged. It's a 6-hour battery, but to be frank with you, if you're copying 10 gigs of data, that's done in a minute or less, then you power it back off. So you can get a lot of cycles out of this, a lot of days of use out of this, if it's just, being used once or twice a day. And really depends on that use. It does have a removable battery, so you could always have a spare battery in case you need it sitting around. That's a nice feature that we added based our feedback from version 1 to version 2 here. It's an awesome little system. I mean, our entire business has been built around making it as easy as possible to back up. And if we can make that job so easy and mindless that you do it every single time, we're going to actually add a lot of security and a lot of value to any operation. So yeah, it's easy to use. I would say the updates are the one thing that is maintenance, and upkeep is making sure that you're patching, you're getting those updates every 4 months or so, 5 months, and keeping an eye out for those. We try to make them pretty well known that this happened, and that's just for your own benefit. We're going to add features, we're going to add security, we're going to patch any bugs. So most of the bugs, by the way, would just be in the mobile application that it comes with. Maybe as phones update, we usually find something, right? Apple and Android are always putting out new OS updates, and we have to tweak something to adapt to that. So we kind of have to update, every time there's new operating systems out there as well. So, those are the types of bugs that we tend to patch. But for the main system, yeah, pretty straightforward, super durable, mil-spec rated, keep the doors closed to keep dust and dirt out and water. And make sure that there's integrity there along the way. If you've had the unit for a few years and you're putting it through the paces, these seals and doors, you just want to make sure that they're still clicking tight, and haven't had any issues to date, having been out there for a couple of years now.
That's great. Yeah, that's key. Simple use is key, especially when you're out in the field. You don't want to have to keep track of all these different, maneuvers and cords and all this stuff. Simplicity is key. So
yeah, totally right. You're totally wireless, right? It's not plugged in. All you have to do is pop your card in and hit a button, and it closes with the card in there too. So I'm usually finding myself like a card in drone, card in GNARBOX, and just swapping even at times. So I can actually be backing up while running the next flight.
That's great. Well, Will, we really appreciate it. If you wouldn't mind, how much is the drone edition? And can you give a quick little spec rundown of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the drone edition is $899 for the 1 terabyte capacity in it. That's the only capacity it comes in. It has Wi-Fi 5, full CPU, Intel based, 2.4 gigahertz processor, mil-spec rated, ruggedness. The USB-C transfers are up to 400 megabytes a second, SD 75 megabytes a second, and what else do I have to say? There's the additional software package with the Pix4D integration, auto foldering by location and by flight, so that it's going to read the EXIF data and actually start grouping things into folders, so we can intelligently decide what are your flight intervals. So we see a flight that's going to go into flight 001, and then you're going to land and come back up, and we can recognize these groups of files are going to go into flight 002. Those additional features are going to cost a license of $200 a year, but you can buy that license for 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 years. There's also a free trial that it comes with for 30 days, and so you can try those features out. So we're trying to provide as much value as possible to these groups, to these customers, based on the needs of this workflow. We're really excited to be here, having been going to Interdrone for so many years. It's exciting to really start to grow our customer base in this segment and work with amazing resellers like yourselves.
Well, we appreciate that, and we are super excited to get the GNARBOX into the hands of our enterprise customers. So I think that's it for today. If anyone has any questions, you can each reach out to Empire Drone or Will over at GNARBOX. And we appreciate your time. Thanks a lot, Will.
Thanks, Sean. Happy to be here.